The first light of dawn slipped like molten copper down the sheer cliffs above Lima's Costa Verde, gilding the city in a hush broken only by surf and distant traffic. Camila Pocachuco balanced on a narrow ledge of the old seawall, knapsack at her feet, spray can in hand. The wall was scarred limestone, pitted by salt, and already dappled with faded tags. The usual profanities, sacre crests, declarations of love. But in a rectangle she had scrubbed clean 2 nights before, she now traced broad, looping lines the color of burnt sugar. Each stroke followed the memory of mountain ridges she had climbed as a child with her grandfather, Don Efrain, a curandero who said the wind above the tree line carried voices older than the empire of the Incas. Camilla paused when she reached the spiral at the center. She inhaled the briny air, whistled a high note learned on those mountain treks, then pressed the nozzle again. The spiral unfurled into the likeness of outstretched wings, claws curled in mid-pounce. A gust tore inland. Grit stung her cheeks. She let the wind finish the stroke beneath her. Buried sensors synchronized. Pressure plates measured the calcium pigment. Microchips in the spray paint released a coded ultra-wide signal, and somewhere on the roof of an apartment tower, one of the city's guardian drones stirred. Moments later, a metallic shadow swept overhead. The drone, 3 meters wide, magnesium alloy feathers, obsidian talons, glided into the rising thermals, squawked in a distinctly avian register, and banked east. Its wake smelled faintly of eucalyptus and ozone. Camilla watched until it blurred against the glare, then capped the can. The city, for another day at least, would be safe from smugglers landing contraband on the beaches. She stashed the paint in her pack, slung it over a shoulder, and rappelled down the seawall, her boots hitting the damp sand just as sun met sea. The arrangement was simple, though few Limenians understood it. A network of drones policed the sprawling capital. But their behavioral cores were no ordinary algorithms. Each time a designated artist crafted a condor sigil of the correct geometry and pigment, a dormant valley winden intelligence that called itself Kuntor was invited to inhabit one specific drone. The program had been initiated after 2 devastating earthquakes and a wave of piracy in the port of Callao. City engineers provided hardware. The shamans and graffiti writers provided soul. It worked, so long as no one tampered with the sigils. By mid-morning, Camila was back in the Barranco district, brushing flecks of paint from her fingers as she crossed the Puente de los Suspiros. Musicians tuned charangos under bougainvilleas, the air alive with panpipes and the tang of pisco sours. She ducked into El Rakutu Cafe, where her friend and fellow artista Martin waved from a corner crowded with rolls of blueprints and half-drunk espresso. He wore a hoodie, spattered blue and gold. Dark crescents under his eyes betrayed an all-night session. "They're at it again," he whispered as she slid into the seat. "Who? The smugglers?" Camila lifted a mug. "The municipality, look!" He tapped a tablet. News footage showed workers in reflective vests painting over a mural on Avenida Abancay, layers of grey primer swallowing a condor drawn 2 months earlier by a veteran shaman named Taita Simonyo. The camera cut to Deputy Mayor Aurelio Sandoval's slick hair, silver pin on his lapel, declaring a clean-up of unsightly vandalism and vowing that modern Lima would shine like a city of the future. Camilla's stomach tightened. Did they at least disable the drone tied to that sigil? Martarin shook his head. They don't even know which drone it is. As if cued by the news feed, a new clip flashed across the screen. A drone, its magnesium feathers ruffling in agitation, circling low over the congested Javier Prado expressway. A sharp shriek rattled dashcams. Traffic scattered. A van fishtailed into the median. The drone dove, clawed a delivery motorcycle clean off the asphalt, and hurled it into a billboard. Sparks rained like meteors. Then the feed cut. Camila lurched to her feet. The cafe's patrons murmured, crossing themselves. Above them, unseen but felt, other drones growled through the cloudless sky. She sprinted from the cafe, Martin on her heels. "We need to find Don Efrain," she said. "He's in the Rimach Hills prepping the Inti Raymi rites." "Then that's where we're going. Grab your paints." By noon, they had commandeered Martin's battered pickup and wound past the colonial balconies of the old centre, then up the switchbacks towards Cerro San Cristobal. Lima sprawled behind them, sea to desert to foothills, etched under smog. The higher they climbed, the more drones appeared, silent silhouettes riding the thermals. Some flew patrols, calm and ordered. Others jerked unpredictably, wings twitching as if swatting insects no one else could see. They found Don Efrain in a stone courtyard outside a hillside chapel, arranging coca leaves in a kentu. His once ebony hair had faded gull white. Deep fissures lined his face, but his eyes still sparked with mountain mornings. He listened without interrupting as Camilla described the drone's attack. When she finished, he sighed and poured chicha morada into 3 clay cups. "The condor spirits are guardians, Case," he said, "but break their perch and they turn as wild as any creature." "The municipality is painting over everything," Martin added. "They say tourists complain about graffiti." Efrain's gaze drifted to the horizon, where clouds piled like glaciers. "Aurelio Sandoval thinks only of foreign investors. He forgets that Lima sits on land older than any document he can sign. He has scratched the mirror, where Kuntur sees its own reflection." The shaman pointed to the sky. "You say only one drone attacked, but others tremble. The sickness will spread." Camilla set down her cup. "Then we repaint the sigils." "You will need more than spray paint," Efrain warned. "The rupture has offended. Kuntur blood has been spilled." "Motor oil blood," Martini snorted. "Life is life." The old man stood, joints cracking. "Bring me 3 things. Water from the Remek, salt from the Chiricahua Sea, and a feather from one of the drones. With those I can weave a binding strong enough for 10 murals." "Getting water and salt is easy," Camilla said. "But a feather from an angry drone?" Efrain smiled, revealing a gold incisor. "The condor will give it willingly, if you can show it a path home." Night fell before they reached the city again. Power outages rolled across districts like black tides. Streetlights winked out, sirens bleated, and every shadow felt winged. People clustered around battery-promoted radios recounting rumors. And drones stalking bus stops, tearing mesh from soccer goals, even abducting stray dogs. On the Jesus Maria overpass, Camilla saw scorched asphalt where claw marks had dragged. Policiers blocked lanes, rifles useless against titanium predators able to shear through steel. They drove to the roof of a municipal parking tower where engineers regularly docked lesser drones for maintenance. Martinin hacked the keypad with a code gleaned from a sympathetic cousin. Inside, rows of drones, perched, inert, sleeker and smaller than the Condor models, but sharing the same modular feathers. Camilla approached one. Touch sensors hummed. The drone's optics glowed amber. She whistled the wind call. The light faded to green. "Stay calm," she whispered. She produced a magnetic screwdriver, removed a single alloy feather the length of her forearm. The drone shuddered but did not protest. She stroked its nacelle. "Gracias." Feather secure. They fetched seawater from a dark beach near Miraflores, filling a gourd while midnight surf licked their ankles. They collected Rimac water at dawn beneath Puente Piedra, skirting encampments of displaced families sheltering under tarps. Finally, they returned to Don Efrain's courtyard, offering gourd, vial, and feather. Efrain tied quipu knots into coloured cords, dipped the feather in a mixture of river and sea, then traced symbols onto its metallic surface with salt crystals. Vapour curled upward, smelling of wet stone and pepper trees. He handed the feather to Camilla. "The drone bound to Taita Simpman's mural still rages. Find it, Present this feather. Paint a new sigil where the old one was erased. Kunta will recognize the path. Martin loaded fresh cans of mineral pigment into backpacks. Ochre mined from Ayacucho, carbon black soot, copper green ground from malachite beads. They donned climbing harnesses, motorbiked into the waking city, and parked near Avenida Abancay. The precinct was cordoned by riot police, but Camila and Martin melted into alley shadows, scaling drain pipes until at roof level. Below, a protest churned. Citizens shook fists at City Hall, chanting, "Maple Rose Nuestra Lan!" Riot shields clanged, tear gas plumed. High overhead, the berserk drone screeched circles, gusting debris with each pass. Its eye lenses pulsed crimson. 2 police choppers tracked it, but each time a pilot tried to lock missiles, the drone dived beneath rooftops, talons skimming street signs. Camila affixed a pen-sized speaker to her jacket, broadcasting the shamanic whistle on loop. She stepped to the roof's edge and raised the alloy feather. A sudden hush swallowed the surrounding chaos. The drone's wings stilled mid-beat. It hovered, nose swiveling until the optics fixed on the feather glinting in morning sun. Camilla felt a thrum travel down her arms, like distant thunder under skin. Slowly, she extended her other hand. "Kuntur, here is your memory." She pictured the condor circling snow summits, not concrete canyons. Pictured sunlight on wind-polished basalt. Something brushed her consciousness. A rasp of primary feathers. An intellect contorted by city noise, longing for open sky. The drone dipped, talons scraping the parapet. Dust billowed. Onlookers scattered. Now, Martin hissed. He and Camila swung over the ledge, rappelled down the facade, scrubbed blank by municipal workers. Plumes of gas coiled from street level, stinging eyes. Camila selected the ochre can, shook it hard, and sprayed the anchoring spiral. Crowds watched, coughing, some pointed phones. Camila blocked them out. Only the wall and the wind existed. She built the torso, the wings, the piercing eye. Each line nested inside the golden ratio. Martin followed with copper-green sunrays, accents that amplified the resonance frequencies embedded in the paint's nanopolymers. Above, rotors chopped. A police chopper descended, loudspeaker barking cease and desist. Camila ignored it. She switched to soot black, traced the double helix linking wingtip to claw. A bridge between code and spirit. Her wrist cramped, sirens wailed. She finished the final dot, stepped back. The mural glowed. Pigment reacting with hidden UV bulbs she and Martinen had embedded 2 months earlier before the whitewash. The drone shrieked one last time, then folded wings and perched on the traffic camera pole opposite the wall. Its talons locked, the crimson optics cooled to amber, then green. An uneasy silence rippled across the avenue, broken by the crowd's tentative cheers. But not all was mended. From the south, 3 more drones swooped low, feathers ragged, optics flickering like faulty neon. One sideswiped the police chopper. Rotors coughed, tail spin sent the aircraft crashing onto the roof of the Postal Museum. Flames licked skyward. The drones croaked mutated bird calls, then angled toward Camilla's wall. Martin cursed. "Too many." Camila raised the feather again, but these drones no longer listened. Their sigils lay beneath fresh coats of bureaucratic beige elsewhere in the city. They saw only prey. A siren whooped behind them. Deputy Mayor Sandoval arrived, flanked by armored guards, megaphone in hand. "Step away from the wall! You have violated municipal code!" Camilla descended the rope in 2 bounds, fury boiling. "Your ignorance is killing people," she shouted over jet engine shrieks. Sandoval sneered, "It's primitive superstition." A shadow crossed them. The nearest rogue drone dived, shearing the megaphone clean off Sandoval's grip and embedding it into asphalt like a javelin. The official stumbled backward, face pale. Guards fired rifles, bullets pinged uselessly off alloy feathers, screams ricocheted. Camilla seized Sandoval's collar. "Look at what your paint rollers unleashed. You want the attacks to stop? Order your men to unpaint the walls." Sandoval's gaze darted skyward, terror rooting him. Another drone loomed, talons dripping hydraulic fluid. He swallowed. Do it," he croaked to his adjutant. "Find every site we covered. Restore them." It was too late for orders over walkie-talkies. The drones closed. Camilla shoved Sandoval aside and sprinted into a narrow alley. Martinin followed, lobbing flashbang canisters he'd borrowed from a cousin in the riot squad. Booms echoed, buying seconds. They zigzagged through market stalls, overturning baskets of lucuma and purple corn, until they emerged into a small plaza centered by a bronze statue of Pachacu Krutek. Children huddled under the pedestal, eyes wide. Camilla glimpsed a partially whitewashed mural on the plaza's south wall, a conda sketched the previous year by an art collective of high schoolers. Only the head remained. Bureaucrats hadn't finished erasing it. She turned to Martinin. One chance. They unpacked pigment faster than they ever had, discs of memory unfurling from fingertips. The mural reformed, wings outstretched, talons clutching coca branches, tail feathers fanning into constellations. Martinin added new sigils representing community, interlocking hands, waves of color lilies. Camilla embedded the alloy feather at the mural's heart, sealing it with the saltwater mixture. A gale roared from nowhere, scattering pigeons. The rogue drones plunged into the plaza, and mid-flight they froze. Wings locked, bodies quivering as if pinned by invisible spears. They rotated toward the fresh mural and hovered, heads bowed. One by one they alighted on rooftops and folded wings like monks at prayer. Camilla exhaled shakily. The children under the statue cheered. Police sirens neared, but her focus snapped to Sandoval, staggering into the plaza. Smoke smeared his suit, dust caked his face. He stared at the pacified drones, jaw slack. "How?" "Respect," Camilla said. "You respect the pact." Days of emergency cleanup followed. Under supervision of Donna Freyan and other elders, teams of artists repainted every condor that had been erased, each one consecrated with river sea water, salt, and a fragment of drone feather. The engineers uploaded fail-safes derived from patterns in the murals, ensuring a drone would power down automatically if its sigil was ever tampered with. The mayor suspended Sandoval, pending investigation into negligence and misuse of municipal funds. Rumors swirled of bribes from private security firms eager to replace the spirit drones with models they could control. On the terrace of El Rakutu, now rebuilt after a stray drone had clipped its awning, Camilla watched a pair of drones glide peacefully over the Malaconyan. Their wings cast cool shade on surfers below. Martinin set 2 coffees on the table and sighed contentedly. "Think they'll leave us alone now?" "Only if we keep talking to them," Camilla said. She sipped, savoring cinnamon and clove. The city forgets fast. Next year, some other official will push another modernization plan. We'll be ready with fresh cans. A news drone buzzed by, filming a tourist promo. Its chassis bore a tiny stylized condor head, newly mandated branding. Children on the promenade waved up at it, laughing. Don Ephraim approached, cane tapping tile. He looked at the sky, then at Camilla and Martin. "Contour thanks you," he said. "We just supplied the paint," Martinyan replied. "Paint is prayer when offered with intent." The shaman lifted a hand, above. One guardian dipped its alloy beak in acknowledgement before coasting toward the Andes, smudged on the horizon. Camilla closed her eyes, hearing once more the wind on the high passes, tasting coarse salt on her lips. Lima breathed beneath her. Traffic, vendors, laughter, history layered on adobe foundations, and somewhere amid that montage, chrome feathers and ancient wings beat in unison. Balance was never permanent. It was something painted fresh every dawn.